The Washington Post, they've come out with an entire article dedicated to the Dallas police robot that delivered a bomb to the suspect that exploded and killed him. I guess the Washington Post they were a little surprised that the police department did that. Police chief said, well, any other option would have exposed our officers to grave danger. The standoff between one of the suspects, Dallas shooting, that left at least 5 officers dead, 7 wounded, ended after the suspect was killed when a robot delivered and detonated an explosive, where the gunman was holed up, according to local law enforcement officials. Quote, we saw no other option but to use our bomb robot and to place a device on its extension for detonate where the subject was. Other options would have exposed our officers to grave danger. Attempts to talk the suspect down by hostage negotiator unsuccessful, and the shooter exchanged fire with police during the standoff. Good job, Dallas police. Police departments increasingly have used robots dedicated to help disarm bombs, but this appears to be the first time that a similar robot has been used to deliver an explosive in a domestic policing action. However, some experts have pointed to similar tactics in war zones. In his book, Wired for War, New America, senior fellow Peter Singer, who specializes in the future of security, noted incidents when American troops in Iraq rigged primitive remote-controlled robots to deliver anti-personnel mines into alleyways they believed insurgents were hiding out. I hope I don't hear people complaining about this. I'm sure there will be some person somewhere who says, oh, how dare the Dallas Police Department deliver a bomb to this guy. I'm sure there will be someone somewhere who will do that. They should have just waited. Eventually he would have fallen asleep. I mean, there's someone out there who believes that. This guy and whoever else he was working with had just killed 5 police officers. Shot a total of 11 or 12. And I've got no problem with the Dallas police deciding, okay, we're going to send a robot in with a bomb. Good luck. We gave you some opportunities to come out with your hands up. President Obama, in a statement, he made a few different comments. He said, quote, I believe I speak for every single American when I say we are horrified over these events. Not every single American, Mr. President. There are a few out there who are celebrating this. We are horrified over these events. We stand united with the people and the police department in Dallas. Obama said that he spoke with the Dallas mayor, Mike Rawlings, offering him condolences and federal assistance. Quote, we will learn more, undoubtedly, about their twisted motivations, but let's be clear, there is no possible justification for these type of attacks, Obama said. Anyone involved in the senseless murders will be held fully accountable. Justice will be done. As he did earlier Friday, Obama called on Americans to do more to address police-involved shootings and violence in the criminal justice system. He also suggested that, quote, lax gun laws played a role. Quote, we know that when people are armed with powerful weapons, it makes shootings like this more deadly and more tragic. He said his immediate concern, though, was for the officers and their families. Today is a wrenching reminder, the sacrifices they make for us. Oh, so now you talk good about the guy. It takes 5 police officers being killed for you to say something nice about the police officers. This is a guy who just earlier in the day said this, quote, we have seen tragedies like this too many times, referring to police officers who have shot and killed people, specifically black men. We have seen tragedies like this too many times. All of us as Americans should be troubled by these shootings. These are not isolated incidents. These are symptomatic of a broader set of racial disparities that exist in our criminal justice system. Well, okay, you hear that. You're already ticked off at the police. You have been raised to hate the police. And then you hear the president say, yeah, we have seen tragedies like this too many times. These are not isolated incidents. They're systematic of a broader set of racial disparities that exist in our criminal justice system. And by the way, Obama was not talking about the judicial system. He wasn't talking about Hillary Clinton. He wasn't talking about what's going on in Baltimore with the officers who have been on trial, who have been acquitted. He was talking about police officers shooting people. And so what the President of the United States is saying is that it's not an isolated incident when a black man gets shot by a white officer. It's not isolated. It happens all the time, according to President Obama. You want to know how that's a bunch of BS? More white people are shot by cops than black people. But even that's isolated. You know what's not isolated? Gangbangers shooting each other in Chicago. That's why it doesn't make headlines every day. That's why it doesn't make headlines every weekend. Because it happens all the time. It's not an isolated incident. When a white police officer shoots a black man and it makes national headlines, that means it's isolated. It's a big deal. It's a big story. If it happened every single day in every single city, no one would care. Just like no one cares about Chicago and the violence in Chicago. No one cares. This administration doesn't care. They don't have a press conference after every weekend about the violence in Chicago. You don't have Black Lives Matter protesting in Chicago. So the president earlier in the day says that police departments are symptomatic of a broader set of racial disparities that exist in our criminal justice system. Specifically, police departments is what he was talking about. And then after 11 cops are shot in Dallas, he comes out and says, but, hey, we need to remind ourselves this is what, officers are in danger every single day. They're good people. Jackass. When we come back, your phone calls and more. All right, back on the Chad Hasty Show, News Talk 790 KFYO. Members of the Congressional Black Caucus have spoken out. They have urged a ban on assault-like weapons. So immediately the Democrats rushing to ban guns because they think that's the problem. As I talk about in the morning brief, and I've brought it up before. The problem last night was this deep-seated hatred of police officers. We have seen, for those who think that if we got rid of guns, these officers wouldn't have been attacked, there are Israeli soldiers who are attacked every week with knives. Some of them have been stabbed. Some of them have been killed by people who have attacked these members of the military with knives. Those who intend to cause harm, those who intend to inflict terror, they're going to try to find a way to do it. Whether it's with a gun, a knife, as we see in Israel, whether it's with a car, a club, whatever it may be, they will try to inflict harm. We have a problem in this country of people who are raised, children who are raised to hate police officers. You know, the Dallas police chief is right. We have to get past this divisiveness between police officers and the general public. There are a whole lot of people who think that all cops are bad and that you can't trust the cops. We've heard stories out of Baltimore and Chicago and many other places where people in the neighborhood, they won't even call the police because it just brings more trouble. There was a story that came out, about a month ago maybe, where there were two children who were playing, I can't remember which city. It wasn't here in Lubbock. There was a couple of kids, they were playing in the yard, and this officer was just driving down the street, and boy got up and he ran into the home. Well, the officer just, he thought something was, wrong or, whatever. So he kind of pulled over, walked outside, and the boy was hiding. The officer asked the kid, "What are you hiding for?" Kid thought he was going to shoot him. They're being raised. Those kids were being raised to hate police officers and to fear police officers, and the police officers are out to shoot you. And this was a black police officer. All this talk that we hear every single time an officer is shot, and it happens way too often, where an officer is targeted. Last night wasn't the first time this year. But we just, we hear from people, oh, the police need to do more work. Police need to do more work. Police need to do more work. At some point, citizens have to do a little bit of work too. I see all these messages that, we need to have love. Well, everyone needs love. We need love. And that may be absolutely true. Maybe there does need to be a little bit more love in the world. But there also needs to be some damn responsibility within our communities. You can have all the love you want. I guarantee you could have the cops, carrying love signs around, and these thugs would have taken out the cops. And so it takes more than just love. It takes more than, everyone reaching out and, let's all, link arms and care about one another. It takes a little responsibility. And that also means from the White House as well, about not getting involved in cases that are ongoing and not speaking out before you have all the facts as President of the United States. And not blaming this so-called systematic racism within all police departments. And then after police officers are shot, then you release a statement saying, oh, well, look, these police officers, these are the men and women who defend us. We need to care about them. We need to do more. We need to have their backs. Well, you didn't have their backs earlier in the day, did you? So yeah, maybe there needs to be a little more love, but there needs to be a lot more responsibility as well. There need to be people who get over this "we hate cops" deal. And that all cops are bad. People need to get over that mindset. Our police officers are in real danger. And it's going to change what happened last night. It's going to change the way some officers react. It's going to change the way some police departments react when there are protests, when there are groups of people walking around. It's going to change a lot of things.